Thank you.
Good night, ladies.
And then,
Okay, next on the agenda is MESPA. If you don't mind coming up, please, the officers. And I appreciate your patience
Oh,
letting them do that. I figured we could.
That's why we're all here, so absolutely.
Please. Hello, how are you?
Hi there. Hi. For those of you who don't know us or who haven't bumped into us at the various and the sundry meetings that we've kind of all started to frequent, I'm Kara Kirby, and I am the Vice President of MESPA. And this,
I am Peggy Fowler. I'm the president of MESPA.
My name is Kathy Stearman. I'm the treasurer of MESPA.
we wanted to thank you very much for putting us on the agenda, allowing us to speak. You got back to us so quickly, and I really appreciate that. I know you guys are busy hearing from, especially in these times, hearing from all different aspects of the school population, from the cheerleaders who have smaller requests to those of us who probably have some bigger requests, but we do appreciate it. We are here, I don't know if it's not known to people, but we're here as a follow-up to our letter that we sent to the committee, and we have copies. If any of you didn't receive them, we have some. We also have a petition, but we're talking tonight about the non-renewal of Mrs. Tetreault's contract. She's the principal at MES, for those who haven't bumped into her in her 10 years plus here in the school district. But we have sort of found out about this in a very kind of backdoor way, and we wanted to voice our support because we, as members of our PTO, and we should make it clear that we're speaking as individual officers, and this is our personal opinion. We certainly can't, as you know, you hope to speak for as many people as you can, and so that's what we're doing today. And we did try and get a cross-section of our community. We spoke to longtime residents. We spoke to police chief. We've spoken with parents. We've spoken with as many people as we can to kind of get an idea if our impression of Mrs. Tetreault is similar to others. And, as you all know, it varies. We've heard a lot of support. We've heard some lack of support as well. But the problem that we're facing is we deal with Mrs. Tetreault on a daily basis. We feel as though we've really created a personal relationship with her, and we've been before you. We've all worked as a board, and we appreciate your showing up and attending our meetings. You've been fantastic at that. We've tried to start to return the favor and be here as much as we can as well. But it felt as though for us, we learned about Mrs. Tetreault's absence for the next school year through a posting on the school district website. And she is a long-term administrator, and she's a very crucial part of the school. Now, we're certainly not looking to tell anyone their job, but we are looking for some idea of the rationale behind this. It feels as though it was sprung upon us. It came, on the heels of us being at your meeting, hearing about, these rumored ideas of shutting MES and maybe, redistricting, and we certainly understand the budget issues that you guys are facing. I stayed at the Millville Auditorium till 1 a.m. and I was there last night as well. I know, and we should also publicly state that we are, at least those of us at this table, are 100% behind the request for more funding. That this issue with Mrs. Tetreault is a completely separate entity for us. But that being said, there's fiscal constraints. There's talk of the school shutting down. I know there's a regional agreement in place, but when you're looking to get creative, sometimes creativity can be a very constructive thing. Sometimes it can be destructive. And it's 1 week before a town meeting, and we see a posting for the leader of our school, and it creates this atmosphere of distrust and chaos and panic. And so we start trying to talk to people, and people start talking. Other people are talking here, other people are talking there. But because there's this vacuum, it becomes there's lots of distrust. There's factions that become, apparent. And it's a very small school. And to me, it's sort of the kind of place, from my children's experience, where we represent the core values that BMRSD puts out about respecting every member of the community and trying to have everyone have dignity. And we just this week received the test scores and the information about how the district is doing, meeting the state standards that are set out. From my layman's perspective, it appears as though Millville Elementary did well, very well. So we're asking if a lack of progress in those scores was the reason for the non-renewal. We know from working with Mrs. Tetreault on budgets, and we're trying to nickel and dime and pull, and I know Blackstone's facing the exact same thing in their school. I know, we heard from somebody who, a nurse who needed gloves in her classroom, and there's all sorts of, everybody's nickel and diming. But we've seen her try and meet the fiscal responsibilities that she should, and so we're asking if it was that. Again, with no clear directive from the administration, we've heard, all sorts of stories. We've heard it's personnel, you can't say anything, and we certainly don't want to, open the district to any litigation. One of the key things on the town meeting warrant was about how much funding we need for town council. So we're certainly not looking to add to that expense, because we don't want to do that. But we've also heard from an equal number of sources that it's personal. And that would be, again, I sat at this table not that long ago saying, we're all here for the good of the kids, and the personal fighting just can't be constructive. It doesn't get anything accomplished. So we are asking that there be some form of message, some directive, some information from the silence that we've been faced with.
Okay. I'm going to jump in here because I've been advised by Harold Gould on this matter.
She's your school legal counsel? He.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Harold Gould.
Sorry.
That's okay. As I stated, I did get the opportunity to speak with you and to Mrs. Stearman.
Absolutely. And like I said, we appreciate it.
And I've tried to be as upfront as possible about any question you've ever asked. In regards to this, all I can tell you is just what I already told you and you just stated is it is a personnel matter, and as such, none of us can talk about the reasons. The decision to hire and fire was removed from us back in, I think one of you, I sent an email and said 82, and that was wrong, it was 93. So I apologize for that, but Ed Reform Act took the power to hire and fire away from school committees and put it in the hands of the superintendent. But it is a personnel matter, and as such, any conversation we have as to why will and can and will open us to litigation, because as you know, if it's a teacher issue, if it's any administrator issue, it's private. It's between the employer and the employee. We don't take any satisfaction in saying that we can't say anything. As you know, there was an issue last year with an allegation of abuse, and one of the hardest things that we as members of this committee ever had to do was sit silent. It didn't sit well with us at all. We wanted to be able to tell people what was going on. We wanted to be able to say what was happening from our perspective, what we were looking to do, and what we thought the outcome would be, but we can't. We simply can't. It's against the law. We're not allowed to do it. This is no different. All I can tell you is that there is a clear difference in my mind between being fired and not having a contract renewed.
Right.
The conversations that come to me was she's being fired. And that's not the case. Her contract was a multi-year contract. She had a one-year extension. That extension is ended. So it's a non-renewal. It's not a fire. But outside of that, there's nothing more that we can offer you. And I apologize to you. I know it's not what you want to hear, but our hands are tied.
Mr. Singleton?
Mr. Buckley.
A couple questions. I never received a copy of the letter, so if I can get a copy of the letter, I'd appreciate that.
Mike, if you'd be so kind, you could get a copy for me as well.
Sure.
How many, do you have enough?
Oh, yeah, I have plenty.
There you go.
There you go. Is that the same as one in the reading?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to take one with me when I was there.
We'll see on that.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Buckley.
while I understand the provisions of the general laws and the Ed Reform Act, I also feel, as a parent, and as a parent whose children attended the Millville Elementary School back not that many years ago, that these parents deserve answers to this decision. You have a 10-year employee of the school district who has served with distinction. In your reading folder this evening, there is a fine letter from the Early Childhood Education Group in
First, second.
Department of Ed.
We saw it.
The first time that that person has ever written a letter at the outstanding program in place in Millville. Millville doesn't have much. They've seen a tough budget fight over the last couple of days. One thing they have is a fine elementary school. It's the centerpiece of that community. A facility and an operation that I helped form. And I think you're doing a tremendous disservice to this district, Madam Superintendent, for not rehiring Mrs. Tetreault. And I believe that if there are issues, then these people who entrust their children with her on a daily basis have a right to know why she hasn't been renewed. Let us go down the path. We go through administrators here like you change a pair of socks. The other elementary teacher, school principal, has 1 year seniority. Has been here 1 year, first year as a principal. Was an assistant principal in Hopkinton. The lady here that was the principal was resigned, and we all know what the story was there. We have a new assistant principal here on a 1-year contract. We have a high school principal who's retiring and will come back in an interim situation, which may find us in the same situation that the middle school is seeing this year, where the interim principal had made enough his allotment of money and left the first week of May, 2 weeks before MCAS test. That's ridiculous. And have I missed anyone else? The director of technology has chosen to retire rather than stay on. A man with over 30 years of service to this school district. How many others will be cut or changed? Change is good sometimes, but I think we have to look at what we're trying to do here. And I don't believe that Eileen Tetreault, in her 10 years of service to the town of Millville and to the Blackstone-Millville Regional School District, has been treated fairly. Now you can hide behind Harold Gould, and you can hide behind the personnel laws, but these people that entrust their children to you and to her deserve answers. Thank you.
You got to know, and you will, and I'm going to tell you, that all due respect to Mr. Buckley, with what he just said, for the good of the district, what Mr. Singleton told you is in fact what this committee has got to do. We're all entitled to our opinions, and no one's more opinionated than Eldridge. Nobody on this committee expresses more opinions than I do. Publicly. Publicly, not privately. Not over a phone, not with an email, right in front of God and everybody else who wants to look and wants to listen. And since I've been here for 2 years now, there have been situations that have developed in this district that I so much wanted to go public with. You have no idea how much it hurt me to not let the public know. Things that I knew, that I also was aware of, I couldn't talk about because of the integrity and the protection of the district predicated on the person that we pay to give us legal advice, and has been here from day one, 45 years, and that's Harold Gould, the attorney. It's difficult when you talk about personalities. It is, and it hurts.